Hello to our viewers across New Zealand and Australia. I'm Philip Duncan. Thank you for joining us. Low pressure kicks off this week in both Aussie and New Zealand, but it's really Australia that's going to be most impacted by two lows, one on either side, one on the west, one on the east. The low in New Zealand is this one up here to the north. It's not overly deep, but the squash zone between that low pressure system and high pressure making for windy weather. Not as bad as it could have been. The winds have tilted a little bit more southeast, and that's really pushed the worst of those winds, pushing them sort of north of New Zealand rather than straight into Northland and Auckland. So one to still keep an eye on, but for the most part, any wind issues today most likely to be around that very eastern side of Northland. Over in Australia, there is that deepening low. It's going to produce some pretty big rainfall totals in some parts just south of Sydney, and there's another one over in Perth as well. So this is the wind map for New Zealand for today. As you can see, those windy conditions around northern New Zealand, that purple shading right there is putting it up to 100 kilometres an hour, but it's out at sea. So it's coming in very close to Great Barrier Island, brushing these sort of eastern areas, but the worst is out at sea. So any power outages today in the upper North Island should be very isolated. This is not looking like a widespread problem. And light winds in the South Island, that means colder weather overnight tonight. So this is the temperature departure from normal tonight. The winds and the cloud making it number of degrees warmer than average around Bay of Plenty, certainly inland areas. But the South Island's the other way. It is colder, especially in the southeastern corner and up here around much of Canterbury, especially North Canterbury, temperatures dropping tonight. Okay, now let's get into the forecast. Here is the setup for Wednesday. We've got those two big lows on either side of Australia. Now you can see it if you live over in Perth. So this is quite a sizable system driving warm northerly winds in for Perth. This one's doing the opposite. It's driving in cold southerlies for Adelaide, Melbourne, Hobart, and later on into Sydney. Over in New Zealand, the low pressure to the north is driving in more of those nor'easters, keeping it mild for this time of the year in the North Island, but the South Island more under high pressure. That's where even some frosts are possible, certainly getting down into the lower single digits overnight tonight and into Wednesday morning. By Thursday, the lows in Australia, both of them are weakening on either side. This one's starting to drop down into the Southern Ocean, but still a bit windy and wet to begin with. And then over in Sydney, that other low starting to fall apart, but still pretty windy around the outer edges of it. New Zealand's sort of in between high pressure, so a couple of showers. These are still nor'easters coming into northern New Zealand. So the nor'east flow continues as we go through Thursday. By Friday, high pressure is pretty much ballooning out across the country. Maybe a couple more light showers in the north caught up in that northeast flow. It's mild though for this time of the year in northern New Zealand. Elsewhere, colder by night, I should say, with the light winds and clear skies. Temperatures will be down, and that system over near Perth fallen apart now, but still more rain falling in that part of Aussie, and this is the area where there might be just some flooding over the next few days. Right, let's get in towards the weekend now, because we do have high pressure building up over New Zealand on Saturday. That is it there. So a pretty settled weekend. A couple of isolated showers are possible, otherwise not much going on. By Sunday, high pressure is out to the east, and now we've got this mild northerly flow coming down, and that means rain returns on Sunday over to the west coast, and probably by Monday it will start to move into northern areas. So the weather pattern a little bit unsettled, but nothing major really showing up here. Certainly no signs of any big winter blasts in the short term. We don't want to get too carried away. That is all from me. We'll see you again tomorrow with our next update.